the life without instruction. And the way I look at it, the things, and we would love to join the conference and talk and share about our experience. Maybe first a little introduction. We met 20 years ago in San Francisco. I'm from Germany.
I'm from Wisconsin in the States.
So we met in San Francisco 20 years ago. Really clear, pretty much from the get-go, that we recognized each other and that we would stay together, and have a family together.
Yeah.
And we were already coming from a fairly, our families where we come from, they are a little more mainstream, but our lives, mine anyways, was pretty much off mainstream already. Like as soon as I made my own decisions, I went questioning and opening up for what else is out there. And Brie.
And I was 25 the day we met, and at about 24 was the first time I left my hometown really, and took a trip on my own and started to see the world and started to move outside of real mainstream. I was kind of out anyway because my parents have always been a little outside of that box too, but that's when it really started for me, I'd say. Really got deeper when we met.
And part of what I see for you being sort of not mainstream is like just being so immersed and interested in art, in creating. So that is like not such a mainstream approach to your career or whatever,
Yeah.
Right now, we created a life that is totally far away from 9 to 5. For us, we sold all our belongings about 3 years ago. Lived in Peru, Thailand, Guatemala right now, and for over a year we've been living in Bali, which we love. We just live wherever we love to be.
And we go when it's time to go.
And now, qualifying for talking about unschooling, we have 3 children also.
Yeah, Gigi, who is 18, Luca, who is 16, and Zora, who is 6. And we've kind of on and off done variations on homeschooling and unschooling for about 8 years now, I'd say. 8 years ago it started. Kids have been in and out in different versions, and it was about 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago really, that that for me I really let go of the institution of education. I really realized that I don't need to have any fear around all those shoulds that people put on you, like you should your kids, and you should make sure, and you should, and what if, and you're limiting their possibilities. And I remember the day that I just said, oh wow, I'm done with that, not worried, totally living in full trust 99% of the time. Yeah, I have my moments here and there that it's usually when I don't have enough space because we're all together all the time, but it's been a really great journey.
Strong judgment. We've been feeling strong judgment and been grown with it. The judgment has gotten to us, but at the same time, it created a chance for us to experience what that means. So the judgment from outside is a judgment from inside, reflected. So we kind of looked inside. What does it mean? Why do we feel? Why do we let this happen? Why to be so judged? Or that we feel so judged. And through that, actually came to a place of way more clarity around the unschooling.
Right, which then became really whole family unschooling. Bjorn and I realized that we were totally unschooling ourselves, like learning how to step back outside of what is already assumed and look at it and say, wait, why do we do this? Why is this assumed? Why is this expected? And began to be able to look at just about everything that way. Say, is this really important? Does this pertain? Why do we participate or do we not participate? And it's been a major unraveling for all of us. So we're not just kind of doing a little bit of traveling and just letting our kids learn as they go, but it's all of us really relearning all about life, how to look out into the world, how to look into ourselves, and become more and more present with who we are and what we do here.
radical undo. I'd say, you know, like a friend of mine had a page that was called Command Z Radical Undo, and that's kind of how I experience, or how I have experienced my life for probably ever, but especially like, it goes exponentially this way, you know, like more and more once you dig into it and throw all that stuff out that doesn't serve you anymore, it goes faster and faster, like, and easier, like, oh, you already see it, you're like, oh really, another. So that there's a shift going on of selling the same old institutional BS in a different look. You know, businesses are called now conscious businesses, and religion, institutionalized religion, is now called
spiritual,
the universe or whatever. You know, but it's to us, or to me, to us, it's still the same thing. You know, and I feel something radically different inside of me, and this is my work and our work, and I think the work of our whole family, including the children. And that's why we don't already put blockages up into their ways. We send them to school so they have to unlearn it later, like we had to. But we make the road free. They can hit the ground running, and our job is it to bring the radical change. And I'm not talking surface like I see so much around, but actually essence.
Deep down.
And that's where we feel comfortable at home.
And this is where we can be on, like, hitting that road running, and really hitting our own bumps instead of someone else's bumps. I mean, we hit those too, but it's a clearer path to what lies within ourselves, and what we need to look at and work through. It takes off some of those layers of really the unnecessary and sometimes damaging parts of all those systems that exist out there.
Cutting edge, I call it, and I've been feeling that for a long time. We're working cutting edge, and we kind of create the future of this world by creating, like, by checking out our edge, you know, allowing ourselves. We don't assume, like, if some institution tells us, or the government, this is how far you can go and you should go, and this is the box where you should stay. I don't assume that that this is really an answer for us, but I'm looking beyond, you know, like, it's like, where's my edge, where are my limits, you know, where knowing that I'm limitless, it's more like checking out where I go beyond limits that are comfortable for me to gain more insights, and then to recreate boundaries around me that serve me to stay on this planet, because without the boundaries we could not be experiencing life on this planet.
And I would like to add that I think this has brought us to this widely expansive place where really we can feel and sense that everything is possible. The wildest things. We've encountered people, other experiences. We know people who live on breath, live on prana. This is not supposed to be possible. Who have not touched water or food in 9 or 10 years, or maybe for a year. And these kinds of experiences have allowed us to really realize and embody the knowing that anything is possible. So what we've been doing lately is working really closely with a small group of friends and people, and we're working on these self-healing techniques, and these have very much to do with not buying into the system and what the rules are and what people say about the illness that you have, or what the symptoms really, you know, what the symptoms come from. We're looking at the roots of energetic, emotional blockages that we have that are all ours, and all ours to hold on to or release. And this has been really, really fantastic and fascinating. We're experiencing things that I would say most people in the world have not experienced, and it's a little out there for a lot of people. It's too much to even handle, like, oh, that's not possible to go without food and water for 10 years. But we're seeing what this is all about, and that really everything out here is a concept, and we can choose which concepts we want to look at and what we want to dwell in, and I'd say we're choosing the magic and the wide open expansiveness, the grand horizon.
Yeah, we're living beyond. We are friends telling us, have been telling us, we are living a life that's impossible to live. to
Live.
or live, yeah. Anyways, I mean, this is just a short intro, I think, and now I would go into what we could share. For this in general, we like to talk about relationships since we have had one for 20 years. That's a relationship that has been alive, very much alive, and on all levels. And that means if it's alive, it's also painful at times. It's all part of it. And we love to share about it. And we've noticed that we can help a lot of people with that. On any level of personal development, we love to self-healing. We love to be mentors and guides and facilitators. In this case, now, when you go into the unschooling and the non-structured, the life without instructions, three things come to my mind. One would be to be, especially in our 16-year-old son, we notice the challenges of being unschooled in a world where it still is, the status is still so, and the judgment is so high, so intense against taking people out of school. Even the coolest, most alternative people will have a heart attack over us not sending our children to school, for example. And he feels that firsthand. We travel a lot, or we live in places where there's not many people, not many parents that are courageous enough to take their 16-year-old children out of school. They do that when they're in kindergarten. They're like, oh, we're unschooling our 3-year-old. I'm like, yeah, okay, well, of course.
And on the other hand, experiencing like our 6-year-old who taught herself how to read when she was 5, is really interested in numbers and is starting to do healing work.
Languages too?
Languages, yeah. She's speaking a few languages, learning how to dive in with her hands and energy and blessing her meals, and really, like, whenever something's happening, she's right there bringing her hands and her energy to the circle and participating. And our oldest daughter, who is living on her own since she was 16, almost 17, and seeing how things go in the world as a, in the normal world, getting a job and paying rent and things like this, and feeling her way through that, not having much money, and having her joy and her struggles with how she's been brought up. It's quite diverse, I'd say, between the 3 kids.
Totally. And then there's the other aspect of what I also like to talk about is unschooling as an adult. You don't have to go or be eligible to go to school, but we have been going through some major unschooling especially in the last years, but really through all my life. We created situations where we would learn what we needed to learn by actually doing it through experience. We're not. I went to school, but I never really had finished with any degree. I just took the classes that interested me, and then I left and went in the mountains to make goat cheese and that kind of stuff. That's my life. So we consciously experience a life of unschooling for ourselves. So how can we encourage adults to not say, yeah, we make that possible for our children, but actually to step into their own power of decision making and creating their life of unschooling for themselves. Awesome process.
Conscious choice, conscious bliss choice. And it involves major transformation on a really regular basis. It's always something to move through and something to reevaluate, and something's coming up all the time. You look at it and go, oh wow, there's that thing that I've bought into all my life and I didn't even realize it until this moment, and now why do I buy into that? Do I want to continue, or do I want to change that story? These things are coming up all the time with cultural expectations and who we align ourselves with, and what we make our priorities. It's a beautiful living organism, this whole thing. Always transforming.